So when I make these types of videos where I'm sharing personal finance tips and stuff, it's not coming from a place of I'm a professional or used to be a professional. Like I used to work in finance in a previous life, and now I'm coming to share my experience with you from a professional standpoint. No, I'm sharing with you from a regular person standpoint. I'm a solopreneur, somebody who is very interested in their personal finance and trying to build wealth over time. So sometimes it's good for you to listen to the professionals, and then you listen to a regular person like you who is in the thick of it with you, and look at that non-professional approach to try to level up. And I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there in case you're asking, what gives you the right to be talking about personal finance? Well, life and trying to experience stuff and being inquisitive and experimental has given me that right. Okay, so let's go in and share these 3 personal finance tips. And the first one is spend the money before you have it. Now, I know I've just told you that I'm not a professional, and I seem to be proving it by giving you this first point that sounds like something no professional is going to tell you to do. I know it sounds ridiculous for someone to tell you to spend your money before you have it, but let me try to explain this, and I'll explain it with a story. Yeah, when I was growing up, being the firstborn child of 6, now 5, I lost my sister, but yeah, I am the firstborn child, which meant that I was a slave. Okay, that's too harsh, but yeah, I used to do a lot of chores around the house, more than my siblings, and I was closer to my parents than the other siblings. I would wash my father's clothes and sometimes the clothes for the rest of the family. But yeah, I used to wash my father's clothes, and when I do that, I would find loose change. Some of you might relate to this, especially if you're from an African home or Nigerian. You'd find loose change and some other things in your father's pocket, and if it's below a certain amount of money, it's yours. You consider it salary for your job, yeah. And if it's above a certain amount, you return it back, because if you take it, it will be considered stealing. So anyways, I'm not talking about the loose change here in this video. I used to find pieces of notes that my father would leave in his pocket when I washed his clothes. And he would later explain this thing to me when I came of age. But these notes contained things that he planned to buy with that month's salary. So he would have things like, I'm going to buy a new mattress, I'm going to buy a new TV, a new shoe for Francis, a new school bag for that person. And it made me a prophet in the house. I would go to my siblings and tell them, hey, you're going to get a new shoe before the end of this month. And they'll be like, I've been asking daddy to buy me a new shoe, but I've just lost hope. That's never going to happen. And I'm like, trust me, it's going to happen. And when it happens, they're like, how did you know? How did you find out? Like, I just never told anybody my secret except you guys today. But the thing my father would later explain to me about those notes I used to find is that was his way of managing his personal finance. And it's all budgeting. This whole thing is budgeting. But the way my father used to do it is he used to spend the money before he had it in his hand. He used to budget the money before the salary came. He found that he is in completely different states of mind when he doesn't have the money in his hand and when he actually have the money in his hand or in his bank account. Completely different states of mind. So when you have the money with you, you start to not think straight. You start to think of wants as though they were needs, and you start to want to gratify yourself because you already have the money with you. Money has a way of making you think differently and throwing your senses out the window. But if you get in the habit of trying to spend the money and budget, when I say spend the money, I mean budget the money. If you're expecting a certain amount of money, you budget how you're going to spend that money even before the money comes into your hand. It may not come in, but then what's there to lose? You have a budget, you can always use it when you have that amount of money. But the thing here is to budget before you actually have the money. Of course, budgeting, it goes without saying. I just wanted to take this a step further by telling you to budget before the money is in your hands. And I've been doing this for a very long time, and I continue to possibly do this for the rest of my life. Spend the money before I make it, before I have it, just with a clear mind. Okay, I'm expecting $10,000. When that money comes, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. As opposed to, I have $10,000 now, what do I buy? I find out at that time, I start to buy stuff that you would otherwise not buy if you were clear-minded and thinking when you didn't have the money in your hand. Now, the second financial habit is to use high-yield savings accounts. A lot of people do not know this, and they save their money in regular accounts, but I think it's a financial error for you to be saving your money in a regular account where at the end of a period of time, maybe a year for instance, you have the exact same amount of money or possibly even less than that after the charges. But even where the bank decides to pay you some interest, it is nothing. It's insignificant, the amount of interest you can get in your regular accounts. So you should seek out, in whatever country that you live in, high yield savings accounts. And what are high yield savings accounts? These are accounts where you have the chance of getting rewards, interest, like higher interest, up to 8 to 10 to even 12% interest on your savings. So it can even be considered some form of investment. So if you live in Nigeria, I'm going to give you two of the ones that I've tested personally, and they are Alert by Wema and also Piggy Vest. But actively, for the longest time, I've been using Alert by Wema. Some of you who may have been following me on this channel for a while would have heard me talk about Alert by Wema, and that was the reason why I actually opened this account in the first place. And it's just been amazing. I've been using it over the years. It works, and I know that some people may have known about this but think that it doesn't work. It actually works. So what I do is, if I'm saving for a particular thing, say my house rent or my emergency fund or something, anything that is not going to meet like an immediate need of mine, I put it in a high yield savings account. The only money I have is money that's like my pocket money or for expenditures for the month, money that I want to quickly access for stuff in the now. That's the only money I have in regular accounts. But anything else that's going to be long term is going to live in a high yield savings account. And this can give you significant amounts of money. Let me try to paint a picture for you. Let's say that your house rent is 3 million naira in Nigeria. What most people do, is at the end of the year, maybe their last 2 months salary. So if you're supposed to pay your rent in January, you start to scramble to pay that money or to put that money together between November and December and stuff. But that's the wrong way to go about it. In fact, you should be saving up your money before time for two reasons. One is it gives you peace of mind. So what I do is, if I'm going to pay for something in December, I start to save for it in a high yield savings account from January. Before 2-3 months, I know that I've already saved up that money for that thing, and now I can live in peace knowing that if the landlord comes, his money is already there. That's one. Number two is, it's living in a high yield savings account, and I'm going to be getting interest on this. If it's a 10% type of high yield, a savings account, then I am going to make somewhere around 300,000 naira when it comes time for me to actually withdraw that money and pay the thing that I want to pay. And imagine making 300,000 naira on your savings account. And I think it's one of the best entry points to the world of investment. When you have your money working for you, it's truly the definition of passive income, because it's just your money doing the work for you. And to show you an example of this, I'm going to show you some of my savings that I have currently in my high yield savings account. Okay, so this is Alert by Wema here. And if you go to goals on the bottom right there, and I go to my personal savings, you can see that I have a number of savings for different reasons. I'm going to do a full-on review of Alert and how you can use it. But yeah, you can see I have a couple of stashes. That's the one I like to use. There are a bunch of them. Let me quickly show you. You can do your fixed goals. You can do your flexi goals and dollar goals. You can save in dollars and get interest in dollars. You can do stash, which is the one I like the most because it's the most flexible. You can save any amount anytime you like, and it almost is the same interest rate. Let's look here and see the interest rate. It's about 11% per annum, and it goes up to even 17% if you save up to 100 million and above. So on the low, it's 11% per annum, which is really good. That's what most investments will give you anyways. So we have investments, we have spend and save and lock up. And so these different types, you can just select any one and start to do the thing. And as you can see here, the interest I've accrued, and this is not for a whole year, this is actually for a few months that I have been saving this, less than 6 months. And you can see I have already made 265,000 in interest. This is money that I can just withdraw today that my savings made for me. So for somebody who is a low to medium income earner, stuff like buying stock might seem out of reach for you or difficult to understand. Using high yield savings accounts is your next best thing to getting into the world of investment. And now the third tip is to save for a purpose. Have a reason for every saving. I don't just save money. I don't just put money even in a high yield savings account or a regular account for no reason. And people make this mistake of like trying to put money in a savings account and say they are saving money just because. If you're saving money just because, you might as well not be saving at all, because everything you do is going to be purposeless. It's going to be for no reason, and you might find yourself and you end up spending that money for no reason. You look at the account at the end of the day, it's empty, and you don't know exactly what you did with the money. Why? Because you were saving for no reason. I'm saving to start a business, I'm saving for retirement, I'm saving for my children's school and education in the future. Maybe you want to send them abroad to go something. There has to be a reason why you're saving, else you're not saving the right way. Financial experts will tell you that saving in and of itself is not going to lead you to financial freedom. It's not going to do anything significant for you. So if you're saving, let's say $1,000, and you want to say start a business and it's going to cost you $1,000, it spurs you to action, because once you hit that goal, you don't have an excuse. Now you have the capital to go start that business, and the next thing is for you to go and take action. But if you're saving and you're just like, hey, I'm saving so that maybe one day I'll start a business, so that maybe one day I'll do this, that, or the other, and you're just throwing all the money into one account and calling it savings, you don't have a goal. You don't know how much you actually want to save. You don't even know why. You don't even know when it's enough and okay, it's time for us to take action. So you need to be saving for a purpose. And while you're doing that, this ties back to the last point of, while you're saving, save that thing for the purpose in a high yield savings account, because you're not going to use it in the time being. Like, you're not going to use it right now. So if you're saving for your emergency fund, it's not money you need right now, only for emergencies. So put it in a high yield savings account so that it can be some sort of investment or passive income channel for you in your finance. So these are my top 3 personal finance habits that I'm going to continue keeping, and I hope you've learned something from them.